Sister always steals my food. I make a fool of myself on her graduation to stop her. I come from a family of 6, my parents, my older sister, my older brother, my little brother, and me. Often, in order to bribe us into good behavior, our parents would buy us our favorite candy to munch on in the car. Now, I've never exactly been a giving person, not huge on sharing just for the sake of sharing. My parents, however, were trying to raise respectful and generous kids, and often forced me to share things even when I didn't want to. That's all fine and good, except that my sister abused the system. See, she would say she didn't want a bag of candy, then once we were on the road she'd start taking candy from all 3 of the brothers. That really pissed me off. I didn't get candy often, as my mom didn't like feeding us sugary food, so when I got my own bag of Sour Patch watermelon I wanted to eat every last one myself. Besides, my parents would always offer to buy her a bag of candy for herself. She would just refuse because she knew she could leech off the rest of us. So after a point I started refusing her requests for candy. But that shit didn't fly with my mom, because that was being selfish, so she would force me to hand over the candy. One time I even said when I purchased my bag at CVS, "Sister, I'm not going to give you any of my candy. If you want Sour Patch, buy your own right now."
"I'm fine,"
she responded.
"I don't want a whole bag of candy."
Fast forward 20 minutes into the car ride. My father was requisitioning a candy to give to my sister, as I sat fuming. This went on for years. My whole life, really. And I hated it. I would hide my candy when I got it. I would try and keep it out of her reach, but always a parent would intervene. Fast forward to my sister's college graduation. She's now 22, I am a senior in high school at this point, and we're up at her school at a fancy-ass restaurant celebrating after she had graduated that morning. In attendance are all immediate and some extended family, some close friends of my sister, and her long-term boyfriend who I was meeting for the first time. So, enough people for the following to be embarrassing to my family. Our meal ends and my mother offers to buy a nice dessert for anyone who wants it. My brothers, my dad and I all take her up on it. I ordered a vanilla bean cheesecake with a burnt sugar bird's nest on top. My mother repeatedly offers to buy my sister anything she wants, but my sister says she couldn't possibly eat a full dessert right now, and turns it down every time. The food arrives, and everyone is staring at mine. I'm sitting right at the head of the table in full view of everyone, so it's hard not to look, and aside from the cake slice being large and delicious looking, the burnt sugar bird's nest is huge and ornate, hollow on the inside like a fucking old-timey brass globe or some shit. Honestly, it was pretty impressive. And right as the food gets placed in front of us, my sister says,
"I'll just have a bite of everyone's."
At this point, I'm seeing red, having flashbacks to all the times my food has been stolen. Logically, the right thing to do would have been to just hand it over one bite. I mean, it was her graduation, it was a huge cake, it would have been no loss. But it had become a matter of principle. So, the moment she says this, in one fell swoop, in full view of everyone at the table, I sweep up my slice of cheesecake and stuff the entire thing into my mouth at once, shattering the sugar nest, crumbs falling everywhere, in front of my whole family and some college students close to my sister who, again, never met in my life. My sister stares, appalled, and says,
"Did you do that just so I wouldn't get any?"
And I look at her, cheeks ballooning out like a chipmunk, face covered in cheesecake and graham, dead in the eyes and nod. There was a fair bit of shocked silence, at that moment and in the very tense car ride home. But to this day she never asked for anything from me anymore.
Divorce me while I am sick. That's fine, enjoy being single. Not my story, but a family friend's story. I knew this lovely German lady who I will call Heidi. Not real name, she was married to an Israeli man who I'll call Douche. Douche was a douche for a number of reasons. He worked with my dad in IT, who said he had a hero complex where he would cause disasters at work, and then try to be the hero and save the day. We even suspect he caused a huge IT disaster at our national airport while he was working there. He was also really creepy. He creeped on my younger sister, calling her randomly and asking to pick her up. He was the exact opposite of his wife, who was lovely and sweet and charismatic, and I have no idea how they ended up together. Unfortunately, a while after we made friends with them, Heidi got very sick. Her colon stopped working, she almost died. Thankfully she was in a country with stellar healthcare who saved her life, but she found out she has Crohn's disease, and she had to get a colostomy bag. While she was recovering from her surgery, Douche announced he wanted to divorce. His words were, and I quote,
"I didn't marry a sick woman. Fucking prick."
He left her high and dry, and very soon was seeing someone else. He lost all the friends he had made in our country with his awful behavior. My family told him he was no longer welcome near us as we were there for Heidi. He finally fecked off back to Israel. Apparently he had got into quite a bit of debt while in my country, and skipped off to avoid paying. Good riddance, we all said. Heidi found her feet eventually. She took up photography, and went to university to study it. She did very well for herself, and lived a happy life free from Douche. After about a year, Douche contacted Heidi and she told us all about it. Apparently he was trying to sweet-talk her into going over to Israel to go through with the divorce proceedings. According to Heidi, your marital status is on your identity card in Israel, and it's one of the first things a girl asks to see when you go on a date. When the girls saw he was married on his card, they'd never go for a second date. So every time he'd call her asking when she was coming over, she'd put a huge shit-eating grin on and reply,
"Oh. I don't know, I'm not really in a position to fly with my condition and all. Maybe when I get better."
She knew full well he won't set foot back here because his creditors were still looking for their money back. She would just relish in the knowledge that he was getting rejected by all those women he was pursuing in Israel, while she chilled with us having a great time. Heidi is doing much better now. She went back to Germany, though still visits my family and her friends from time to time. She's still her awesome self. I don't know what Douche is up to now, but I suspect after all these years he is still a douche. You like the laundry soap I buy? Great. How about some fun soap just for you? This happened a while ago, but I just found this sub, so here goes. I used to live on the 3rd floor of an apartment that had its laundry in the basement. Which means 4 flights of stairs for me, no elevator, and I have a newborn so I'm washing quite a bit. So we have cubbies in the laundry room for our soap and stuff. I've lived there a year and never had an issue leaving my soap down there. Apparently, some new people had moved in that were using my soap. When I realized it, I left a note asking that they stop. Nothing. They kept using. Okay. Now I'm pissed. I got 2 bottles of soap. A blue-colored one. And clear-colored one. Marked the bottles clearly that they belonged to me, so they couldn't accidentally say they thought they were theirs. Filled the blue soap with blue Rit dye. Filled the clear soap with unscented bleach. And waited. Didn't take long. The next morning I hear screaming coming from the laundry room. 4 floors up I heard it. I waited a while and ventured downstairs. In the laundry room I found a bunch of wet clothes in the garbage that were bleach-stained. 4 days later I saw a young man get into a car with a blue-stained t-shirt. Touch my fucking stuff. My 9-year-old's petty revenge. Today I got a call from the school my 9-year-old attends asking to please come up to the school, because my daughter was in trouble for vandalizing another child's property. This surprised me because my daughter is a bit of a goody two-shoes and never gets in trouble, so I dropped what I was doing and swung by the school to find my daughter sitting in the principal's office grinning ear to ear. I was ushered in to take a seat. The principal immediately launched into a tirade about how my daughter had deliberately broken another girl's necklace and how unacceptable it was. Once he was finished, I turned to my daughter to hear her side of the story. Last year my daughter saved up her pocket money to buy best friend necklaces for her and this girl. I ordered them from Wish.com for her. This year the friendship went belly up when I discovered this girl was trying to extort her friends, including my daughter, into buying her expensive items on a kid's game with threats, backstabbing my daughter and threatening anyone who dared play with her at lunch, so she was completely isolated. My daughter cut off contact and has been rebuilding her friendship circle, and all was going well until this little girl started repeatedly demanding that my daughter give her the other half of the friendship necklace, so she could give it to someone else. The fact we were the ones that bought the necklaces to begin with was apparently a minor irrelevant detail. My 18-year-old niece and nephew are very protective of their young cousins, and were quite upset for her, so they decided to offer her the opportunity for therapeutic destruction. Last weekend they got out their tools and helped my daughter shatter the charm into 7 or 8 pieces with a hammer, some pliers, and had a great time. My daughter put the pieces of the charm in her jewelry box as a reminder of what fake friends can do to you. Anyway, apparently this girl kept demanding the necklace every day, hassling her, so my daughter hatched a plan. She gathered up the pieces into a little bag, took them to school today to empty the bag in front of the girl, and told her she was welcome to the necklace, as long as she likes jigsaw puzzles, but she will probably need some glue. Apparently the girl went red and stormed off to the teacher to say that my daughter had destroyed her necklace, and my daughter was sent to the office. I couldn't keep a straight face and burst out laughing. You could see the vein in the principal's forehead pop out as he looked at me laughing. I pulled out my phone, showed him my purchase history to confirm that we bought the necklaces, and my daughter is perfectly within her rights to destroy her own property if she so wishes. He finally dismissed us and my daughter skipped back to class laughing hysterically. My niece and nephew are quite proud, and planning to take my daughter out for ice cream this weekend to celebrate her standing up for herself.